Hello and welcome back to the Department of Reinvention. Today I'm upcycling a mid-century kitchen sideboard unit. It has a huge amount of green paint all over it. Many pieces I deal with often have beautiful wood grain hiding underneath the paint, but that's not the case here. This piece was originally painted and had formica on top that's been chipped over the years. The sliding glass doors were also painted for some reason. I will be releasing another video about this project, and it's basically following how I develop a design for my projects using Photoshop, so keep an eye out for that one in the next couple of weeks. As this was a mid-century piece, I did do regular lead testing in different areas of this piece, as there were quite a few layers of paint and I just wanted to be sure it was completely lead-free. I used this piece in my last video when I was comparing different methods of paint stripping, so if you want to see how I did that, just head on over there. I'll pop a link down in the description. Now when it came to removing the formica, I used a heat gun, much like when you remove veneer. You just use a scraper with the heat gun. It's a lot thicker than veneer, so it does take a bit more time and effort. If you ever need to remove formica, I will warn you now, you need to keep the heat gun moving. If you keep it in one place and it overheats, it will explode. Don't ask how I know. Both around the edge of the top of the sideboard and vertically on either side of the sideboard there was tea trim. Unfortunately I couldn't reuse it as it was quite damaged, but I would go on to use a new tea trim instead. Removing the adhesive that attached the formica to the top involves using acetone, as it's one of the few things that can soften and dissolve glue. I spread a rag over a section and poured over acetone, then left it for about 30 to 60 seconds before going over it with a scraper. I needed to do this a few times, but it does quite effectively remove the glue. I left it to dry thoroughly afterwards before sanding the top and removing those final bits of residue. The drawer fronts were screwed on to the main body of the drawer, which makes it much easier to strip the paint from them. I wiped down the drawers with some white spirit, as this does get rid of any dirt, oil or paint residue. I then gave the drawers a layer of Danish oil. This just gives it some layer of protection and also helps the drawers move smoothly on the rails. The mounting plates for the legs did have some rust on them, so I gave them a good long soak in white vinegar to soften them. Then I brushed them clean with a metal brush. They then had a delightfully relaxing bath in some WD-40 to give it a protective film. clean off the paint from the handles, hinges and other metalwork, I soaked them in boiling water for 15 minutes. This softens the paint really nicely, making it really easy to scrub off with a metal brush. One of my favourite parts of this piece are the original tapered legs. They're made of quite a dense rubber. They needed some cleaning up with isopropyl alcohol and a little gentle scrape. After I gave this piece a careful sand with 120 grit sandpaper and then a 240 grit, then gave it a light coat of the Zinsser bin primer. Because this has had various paints and glues over the years, I wanted to make sure nothing was coming through the top layer of paint, and this acts as a nice stain blocker primer. When coming up with a final design for pieces like this, I do like to look at interior images and other pieces similar to it from the time to give me some direction when it comes to colour and design choices. With this one, because it was a mid-century piece, I did look at some original images from mid-century kitchens, and this sort of really beautiful teal, like a light turquoise teal, was a frequent colour occurring in those images, so I really wanted to go with something similar to that. And I went with a hard wearing gloss finish. Some people that have seen this piece have likened it to a Tiffany blue, but I think it might be more of a delivery blue. Unfortunately, the liner of that hole in the glass that's used to sort of open and shut it, unfortunately it disintegrated when I came to remove the paint, so I just bought some replacement ones. I developed the writing design that I wanted in Photoshop and then printed it onto a larger scale so I can transfer the design onto the piece. When it came to doing the writing on the piece, I used a sign writing paint. The handles had a chrome type finish. I don't know if it's actual chrome or just sort of like a chrome paint. It's a little damaged, but I quite liked the sort of vintage look to it. Please do not acknowledge the mess in the background. Thank you. As I've done with some other pieces, I really wanted to let the letters sort of overlay the whole piece, so that's why I painted the handles. So there we have it, the final piece. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you could like and subscribe, that would be really helpful. And I'll see you next time.